are you proud to be back in WWE?
Proud? I'm proud of everything I do. Let me tell you a little story, Josh. 8 years ago, I left this company. I was a WWE champion. Took this company to heights it had never seen before. Left the company, went to the UFC, became the UFC heavyweight champion of the world. Their success was on my blood, sweat, and tears. Proud? Damn right I'm proud. I'm proud that Johnny Laurinaitis had enough wisdom to bring me back to the WWE and put me at the top, exactly where I belong. A guy like John Cena, he thinks he's at the top. He could never hold my jockstrap in a million years, and I just proved that. I knocked his pretty little mouth on his pretty little face. Let me tell you something else, too. I'm not here to make any friends. I'm a war machine, an ass kicker, and a proud one at that. But I'm not as proud as the WWE suits and ties and all these fans are to have me back.
And now, more Pro Wrestling Weekly with your host, Fearon.
Sit down, shut up, and listen up.
Welcome back to Pro Wrestling Weekly here on 1490 WBCB and online at WBCB1490.com. Fearon back here with you. And, of course, the interview, the post pull-apart brawl interview with Brock Lesnar after Lesnar coming out in the beginning part of Raw, being interrupted by John Cena, Cena slapping Lesnar, and next thing you know, Lesnar hitting a double leg takedown, little ground and pound, and, of course, Cena coming up with a bloody mouth, all leading to, or at least the beginning of leading to, what's now officially a match at Extreme Rules, Brock Lesnar in his first in-ring matchup since coming back to the WWE against John Cena. The only other match so far on the Extreme Rules card officially announced is Sheamus defending the World Championship against Daniel Bryan in a best 2 out of 3 falls match. So at best we're looking at, what, a 54-second matchup if it goes the distance, considering at least if they have a repeat of their WrestleMania encounter. But I don't think they can get away with that 2 months in a row, or not even 2 months, because they'd both be in April, but 2 pay-per-views in a row. I don't think they can get away with any more 18-second finishes on this. Fans are clamoring to finally see this happen, and I know I'm certainly one as well. Let's go ahead and get back to the phones. We've got Dan from Chicago hanging in there. Dan, welcome to Pro Wrestling Weekly.
What's up, Ron? How you doing?
Not too bad.
Want to talk about, I didn't really even talk to you about WrestleMania. I enjoyed Cena versus Rock. That was awesome. I was not happy with the fact that Cena lost, though. I wanted Cena to win.
See, I don't know. And I was kind of back and forth on it, and I figured Cena would win because it would kind of be more of a trumpeting of the current generation as opposed to constantly going back. I mean, he's the best of this generation as far as popularity.
Pass the torch.
Yeah, exactly. Passing the torch. But on the other hand, you look at Rock, and I mean, he said it in his promo the Monday before Raw. You know, granted, obviously, you know, he's kind of bridged a few of the gaps, but you kind of have to look at Rock as one of the best ever, considering that he's beaten Hogan, he's beaten Austin, and he's beaten John Cena all at WrestleMania.
Yeah, but at the same time, too, do the right thing for the business and pass the torch.
Oh, of course. Well, I mean, there are a lot of... I mean, look at how often WWE now is going to the legends, going to the past, because the people, the current torch bearers are... I don't know if they're dropping the torch or if they're just, you know, having water poured on it before they get the chance to carry it.
That SmackDown Tuesday night was garbage. Flat out garbage. The only thing I did like was what you said about Piper's Pit. That's the only segment I liked. And then I'm like, really? At like 8 o'clock, I'm like, really? It's only been an hour?
Yeah, no, I kind of pulled a Paul Heyman on SmackDown. I highlighted the positives and accentuated the positives and hid the negatives, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
No, there were definitely a lot. I mean, between that whole thing with the Great Khali and Mae Young and Hacksaw Jim Duggan and Sergeant Slaughter, that mess. And
I take it back. The only thing that was good about that night was Michael Cole. The only thing good about that night was Michael Cole.
If Michael Cole's a good thing, that should tell you.
That's bad. I was laughing my butt off during Michael Cole's entire segments with the Legends. That was great. He was telling the truth that we want to say. That the fans want to say, he was saying it.
Yeah, I should give credit where credit's due. I can't be a complete Michael Cole hater. He does do some good things. It's just when he goes over the top with them, it takes everything down.
He reminded me of Bobby Heenan with his comments. He really did.
You know what's funny? Actually, just yesterday, I finally got the chance to sit down and watch the Bobby Heenan DVD from a year and a half, 2 years ago that was put out, and I think they scratched the surface on some of the witty one-liners that he had.
Right.
Yeah, that's.
He was great, Heenan.
He was, and special bonus points to them highlighting the Clash of the Champions moment with Brian Pillman.
Oh yeah, that was great.
Yeah, we won't issue that one-liner over the air because while Bill Melly will have to hit that little button over there, we don't want that. No.
At this time of year, it's weird. I seem like I get burnt out from wrestling that I don't care as much because you're so hyped for WrestleMania. And then after WrestleMania, it seems like an afterthought.
Oh yeah, there's a little bit of a, I guess you can call it, for lack of a better term, a little bit of a hangover effect that kind of comes.
I'm not into. I thought I would be. I thought I'd be really psyched to have Lesnar back, and I'm not buying into this whole he's trying to be a bad boy type thing. I think he's trying too hard, and it's not really working for me.
Yeah, they're trying so much. I mean, it seems like the buzzword is legitimacy.
Yeah.
And because it's a buzzword, and because it feels forced, it feels contrived, it feels almost homogenized.
Yeah, and it was funny. I know people don't like me talking about it, but my wife was watching this with me, and he was saying now if there was really problems between Cena and Lesnar, they should have made a comment saying that they had problems in the back all day. But poop, Raw starts, and you have an issue, it would have made it a little bit more believable if you had footage earlier that day of security trying to separate Cena and Lesnar. But poop right out the gate.
Yeah, or maybe interview them when they each get to the building and have them basically talk a little bit of trash. Just kind of build little bits of building of that animosity. No, that's actually a pretty good idea.
This is coming from my wife, who's now been watching it 8 years with me. She's like, this is really stupid. Raw starts and you have an issue. I'm like, oh my God, you're right. It's really weird from not that she's an outsider, but like I said, we've been together for 8 years, and she's starting to.
She's starting to pick up on tendencies.
Yeah. Like, why not have an issue in the back?
What was her take on the Three Stooges? Just out of curiosity.
She didn't like that either. That was. Oh, God, don't even get me started. Yeah, she didn't like that either. It was ridiculous. And you know what's sad? I think one of the guys was on Will and Grace.
Yes, Sean Hayes, who played
my wife
who played Jack on Will and Grace. He is Larry in this new Three Stooges movie.
Yeah. Now, I didn't watch Will and Grace. My wife did. Okay, let's just.
No, that's fine. I mean, believe me, the only reason I knew is because I had to have.
Right.
You have to know these things when you do a pro wrestling talk show. Why Sean Hayes being Jack for why that matters to anything, I don't know. But because they're on a pro wrestling show, I feel like I'm obligated to know these things.
Could Hogan sue WWE for the Will Sasso issue, or no? Because they own Hulkamania, right? But actually, doesn't Eric Bischoff own Hulkamania?
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm not exactly. One of the things I'm not is a legal expert. I know that WWE owns the rights to the Real American theme.
Yeah. But that whole thing was like, wow, you know what I mean?
Well, to be fair, this isn't the first time they've done it. I mean, you got to go back, probably about 13 years when Hogan was still in WCW. They pulled that out with Pat Patterson, and speaking of Stooges, it's amazing how history repeats itself. They had Pat Patterson do the T-shirt tear and come out to Real American and the whole bit, and then I think that was when JR, of course, had to throw little one-liners like "he's single, fellas," and I know, a darker chapter in JR's storied career, I guess.
Yeah,
being forced to throw those those homophobic slants.
Right.
Pat Patterson, among others.
I had a bad feeling that Pat Patterson was going to kiss Michael Cole Tuesday night. Did you see them all in the ring? He's like, when they had them all circled, the legends were circling Michael Cole. I had a bad feeling Pat Patterson was going to do something, quote unquote. I don't want to.
Oh dear, yeah, that's. Oh man,
it was weird. I'm like, oh my god, please don't do it, please don't do it. And then he fucked it. I'm like, okay, good, I can handle that. I don't think they'd go that far with it. I think they've learned their lesson after the whole Chuck and Billy thing from a decade ago. Right. So I'd like to actually switch gears for TNA a little bit.
Okay.
So I don't know if you're picking up on this, but James Storm is their HBK.
Yeah, I
don't like it. He's trying to do the sweet chin music thing, and with the cowboy hat. He's from Texas. I don't like it.
It's, it's almost like he's a hybrid of Shawn Michaels and Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Right, and I don't like it. I hope Rude retains the title. I'm digging that. I'm digging Rude.
I don't know. I'm trying to see what it seems like Rude has everything, but except for one thing, and I can't quite put my finger on what that one thing is that's kind of holding him back. I mean, it could be that. I mean, not to go back a generation, but it's kind of the same thing with Ravishing Rick Rude.
Right.
He had everything except for this one thing you just can't put your finger on. That, I mean, he had a flash with the main event picture, and that was only because they couldn't find any suitable opponents for the Ultimate Warrior after WrestleMania 6.
That guy pulled a match out of the Warriors' butt. I loved watching those two wrestle because of Rude.
Oh yeah, Ravishing Rick Rude. I know we're going back on a little nostalgia trip here, but Ravishing Rick Rude made the Ultimate Warrior look like $1 million.
Yeah.
Every time they went at it in the ring.
Right.
I mean, you got to go. WrestleMania 5, SummerSlam 89, and then again at SummerSlam 90 when they faced off in the cage in Philly for the title.
Yes, I have that on DVD.
I'm sure they faced off more times than just those three, but those were the three prominent, pay-per-view matches.
Saturday Night Main Event, I think they wrestled on one. I believe it was a Saturday Night Main Event as well.
Yeah, my Saturday Night Main Event knowledge is a little bit fuzzy because I was 8 back then. Right. So, I mean, I do know some certain dates, but the entire chronology. I never said to be like a savant with all this stuff. I know a lot, but I damn sure don't know everything.
At least with the whole Devon and who's he fighting again?
Robbie E.
At Lockdown, who's Devon fighting again?
All right, I see where you're going with this.
No, seriously, who is he fighting?
No, Robbie E.
Okay, there you go. At least it won't be an electrical cage.
Oh, goodness, yeah, no. I'm sorry, cage and electricity, they just don't mix. As soon as you say anything electric involving a steel cage, the first thing that jumps into my mind is the Halloween Havoc Chamber of Horrors.
Yeah, that was garbage, too, yeah. That was garbage as well.
I'm on a real nostalgia trip today. I need to get back to... You're dragging me to the past, Dan. What are you doing to me?
Sorry.
All right. Well, I was gonna say I'm closing up against it anyway. So we'll see if we can get back to reality here. I'll catch up with you
next week.
Hopefully. Actually, programming note on that. Thank you for reminding me because again, I've been trying to keep so much of this week and apparently the past in my head. According to the powers that be here at BCB, now according to the schedule, next Saturday and the following Saturday, we're scheduled, emphasis on the word scheduled, to be preempted for high school baseball. Now, we were scheduled to be preempted the day before WrestleMania, and Mother Nature got involved, rained out the game, and I was able to be with you. So, I don't know. From a business standpoint, I can't say we hope that happens, but from a fan standpoint, I'm sure I'll come up with something. Maybe I'll put like just a web only thing up on the YouTube page or something like that.
That's what I was thinking too. Or is there any way you could go live on? I know there's a thing called Podomatic. There's a couple of things that you could look at, maybe. You know what I mean?
There's a lot of things that need to be kicked around, and I think a little bit has to do with a bit of a not that we have to deal with any more authority figures because we see enough of them in wrestling, but we're dealing with some authoritative things here at BCB. So I'm trying to work with whoever I need to work with and maybe get some ideas flowing, get some creativity going, and see
that'd be good.
See where we can go.
That way we don't miss out on your stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, it's also, a weekly show, depending on what, part of the week it is. I mean, do you go on, a Tuesday to recap everything that happened with Raw? Do you go on a, Friday to recap what happened or Saturday, like we're doing, to recap everything with SmackDown and also preview the pay-per-views? Do you go on a Monday to kind of preview Raw and go over a paper? Yeah, so, I mean, these are all the, time decisions and whatnot. So, I mean, there's no necessarily best time. I certainly like what I've got going here. I mean, between Eric and I, it's worked for the better part of 14 years, so you can't knock it too much.
No, I know. No, I'm just saying.
But we'll figure some things out. I'll see if I can get a little bit of sleep and get the creative juices flowing. Anyway, thanks so much for the call, Dan. I got to roll. All righty. And let's all right, before we take care of a little we'll get Eric in before another break here. Eric, thanks for calling.
Hey, how's it going, Fearon?
Hey, what's going on? Is this Eric of the Minnesota Wrecking Crew fame?
It is.
The one, the only. I could tell just a slight localism in the voice, but don't worry. Don't take that as a negative thing by any means. Believe me, I've got Canadian roots, so trust me. If I wanted to, I could pull some of that out there myself, eh?
Well, I know that's fun because us Minnesotans have a different accent from you guys from the Northeast.
Oh, I know. Well, that's the thing. That was one of the things I always found intriguing in broadcasting school was the different localisms people had. So it's kind of my own, I don't know, it's my own sick observation of these things. So pay no attention to me in that regard. Just let me know what's on your mind.
I guess there's only one thing that I wanted to call the talk on. It is Jericho Punk feud.
Yeah, which is, I don't know, this is the first that I've mentioned of it, and I think part of it is because based on what you were saying on the Facebook page, you said you'd be calling in, so I figured, all right, I'll give you the chance to kind of shine on it a little bit.
Well, yeah, I just had to wake up early to be able to call in, but kind of a side note, at WrestleMania, I did have a shot of vodka for CM Punk.
Huh, okay.
Just because we all know, in words of Chris Jericho, it's actually see him drunk.
See him drunk, yeah.
Well, I was wondering your thoughts on what stipulation could their match be at Extreme Rules?
Well, I was going to say, so far, I mean, of the two matches announced, one has some sort of a stipulation. I don't know if they're sticking with what they've done in the past in that every match has some sort of a stipulation, some sort of I guess, an added, I don't know, something to the match. I mean, we've got the best 2 out of 3 falls for the world title. I mean, where do you necessarily go with that? I mean, I don't think they're necessarily going to have a ladder match where at the top of the ladder is, well, I was going to say, since it's for the belt, they'd have to have that. But, if Vince Russo were around, maybe they'd do a bottle of whiskey on a pole match. Who knows? I mean, I don't think they're going to go to that realm necessarily. I could see, actually, a ladder match between the two of them may not be a bad idea, but I don't know. That'd probably be the best way to go, but I don't know if there's anywhere to necessarily go involving the alcohol that they've kind of been, using as kind of an advancement of the storyline.
Well, sticking with Extreme Rules in Punk's hometown, maybe a loser is forced to drink a can of beer.
Wow, that's I don't know. It may get to that point. I mean, obviously, we still have we're 2 weeks and a day away from Extreme Rules, so that'd have to be something that either comes this Monday or perhaps the Monday after. That's either the 16th or the 23rd. That's something that would be unprecedented, but given Punk's straight edge lifestyle, I don't know if he'd necessarily sign off on it. But it would make for a heck of a hook because, well, I think if they did that, then you'd almost have to guarantee that Punk would win. Because I don't think that he'd sign off on it otherwise.
Well, looking back at a history of Extreme Rules, the last time, if I remember correct, the last time Chris Jericho was in a title match at Extreme Rules would have been, I think, 2009 against Rey Mysterio for the Intercontinental title, and I think no disqualification match, so maybe another no DQ match for Jericho at Extreme Rules.
That is, you weren't kidding about your Chris Jericho knowledge. No, that would certainly be a possibility, and that might also allow for the involvement of Punk's family. Because that's kind of considering how much that Jericho's been riding them, the fact that it's in Punk's hometown, there is a possibility to find a way to get his family involved in the match. So that may be a good way to do it, is to have a no disqualification match and and either allow them to interfere or perhaps, maybe have them, I don't know, pour a soda over Jericho, distract him, something. There are a number of different ways they can go with that.
Well, think of it, I was going to say Jericho isn't the first guy to be in a feud with CM Punk for the world title and bringing alcohol into the feud. Because I know JBL did the same thing a couple years ago at SummerSlam.
Yeah, oh wow, I'm trying to. I'm drawing a blank all of a sudden that says, there was the issue also. Well, yeah, it was Punk was on the reverse side of things with Jeff Hardy, wasn't he? With one of these not too long ago.
Yeah, Punk was giving Hardy a hard time about
all of his vices and whatnot. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's amazing how the I guess the coin flips as these various things go.
Yeah, but I don't. Kind of bring back to WrestleMania. I was sad to see Jericho tap out at WrestleMania to CM Punk.
Yeah, if you remember, I predicted Jericho was going to win that. I figured everything was right. And now I guess the concern is because ever since Jericho's come back, he's made a lot of promises and has delivered on zero of them. I think for the mainstream fans, he's losing a lot of credibility. I mean, longtime fans obviously know what Jericho can do. But for the new crop, the young C Nation, they just see somebody who talks loud and says nothing, kind of to take the old James Brown song.
Could the end of the world, as we know it, be referencing to Chris Jericho, just being Chris Jericho's swan song and him retiring after the feud?
Oh, that could be a possibility too. I mean, he's he'll be 42, I think, later this year. If he hasn't turned 42 already, I forget his birthday off the top of my head, but he's getting up there a little bit.
So I think it was either his documentary or one of his books that he mentioned that when he finally goes, he doesn't want to make it like a big Ric Flair thing or Shawn Michaels thing. That
he doesn't want like a whole pomp, circumstance, everything else. He just wants to kind of disappear quietly into the night.
Yeah, kind of like JBL did at WrestleMania 25.
Yeah, just a loss and an I quit, and that was it. And we've seen him back maybe once or twice, an appearance here or there. Anyway, I am late for a break. Thank you so much for the call, Eric. Appreciate you getting up early to chime in with us. Eric from the Minnesota Wrecking Crew. Apparently they're starting quite a following over there, and that all started with Eric, and we've of course got Ross over there as well. Anyway, take care of some quick business. Come back. We've got Ron and Nick. Maybe we can squeeze you in after that, but I don't know. With 10 minutes left, hard to say. We may have to get to you coming up. This is Pro Wrestling Weekly here on 1490 WBCB and online at WBCB1490.com.